Osage County, a play by American playwright Tracy Letts, premiered at Chicago's Steppenwolf Theatre in June 2007 before moving to Broadway that December. The story begins with the disappearance of Beverly Weston, the family patriarch, prompting his estranged relatives to gather at the family home, where they confront his bitter and drug-dependent wife, Violet. Drawing from Letts' own experiences growing up in Oklahoma, the play delves into themes like addiction, suicide, and generational trauma. It won numerous awards in 2008, including the Tony Award for Best Play, the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Play, the Outer Critics Circle Award for Outstanding Broadway Play, the New York Drama Critics Circle Award for Best Play, and the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. In 2013, it was adapted into an acclaimed film. Set in a small town in Oklahoma, the three-act play opens with a prologue in which Beverly, a former poet and professor, interviews Jonna, a young Cheyenne woman, for a position as a live-in caretaker for Violet, who is struggling with mouth cancer. During the interview, Beverly drinks heavily and shares that Violet suffers from substance abuse and erratic moods. Despite Violet's incoherent and drug-addled interruptions, Jonna takes the job. When Act 1 begins a few weeks later, Beverly has been missing for 5 days, and his family gathers at the house. Violet's sister, Maddie Faye, her husband Charlie, and their daughter Ivy arrive, but Violet's hostility quickly strains their attempts to offer support. The tension escalates with the arrival of Barbara, Violet's estranged eldest daughter, along with her husband Bill and their 14-year-old daughter Jean. Violet treats Jonna, who stays in the attic, as an unwelcome outsider. Suspicions arise that Beverly may have taken his own life, and the discovery of his missing boat confirms their fears. Act 1 closes with the sheriff delivering the news that Beverly's body has been found in the lake. A drugged Violet staggers in, puts on an Eric Clapton record, and dances clumsily while the family watches in shock. Act 2 unfolds after Beverly's funeral, with the arrival of Karen, the youngest Weston daughter, from Florida, accompanied by her fiancé, Steve, whom she eagerly praises to Barbara. As Maddie Faye and Violet sift through old photos with Ivy, Maddie Faye harshly criticizes her son, little Charles, for missing the memorial, angering her husband Charlie. Meanwhile, Violet continues to berate Ivy, insisting she should have worn a dress to the funeral instead of a suit. The tensions between family members only deepen as the story progresses, revealing the deep-seated conflicts and secrets within the Weston family. When Violet taunts Ivy that she'll never find a man, Ivy counters by revealing that she is dating someone, though she refuses to disclose his identity. Meanwhile, after a trip to the store with Bill and Steve, Jean goes to watch a movie. Steve joins her, making sexually suggestive jokes and offering to get high with her later. When little Charles arrives, Ivy slips outside to meet him, revealing that he is the man she's secretly dating. Despite being first cousins, they are deeply in love and plan to move to New York together. During a tense dinner, Violet, high and belligerent, provokes her family until Barbara finally snaps, wrestling Violet to the ground in an attempt to confiscate her pills. As the family tries to intervene, Barbara takes control, declaring that they will search the entire house for Violet's hidden pills, establishing her authority over her mother. In Act 3, the Weston sisters, Barbara, Ivy, and Karen, gather in the study, sharing whiskey and discussing their mother's addiction. Barbara presses Ivy, who reluctantly admits her relationship with little Charles. Violet, now sober against her will, briefly shares a peaceful moment with her daughters, though tensions remain high. As Ivy and little Charles share a tender exchange, Maddie Faye interrupts, cruelly berating little Charles until Charlie steps in, demanding that she show kindness to their son or face the end of their marriage. Maddie Faye, noticing Barbara overhearing the conversation, admits that Beverly is actually little Charles's biological father, making him Ivy's half-brother. She insists that Barbara must stop the relationship. Later, Jean and Steve enter, high and laughing, but Steve soon turns off the lights and attempts to sexually assault Jean. Jonna intervenes, turning on the lights and hitting Steve with a frying pan. Awakened by the commotion, Karen rushes in, and she and Steve hastily pack to leave. Despite the incident, Karen tells Barbara she still plans to marry him. Barbara, outraged, ends up fighting with Jean and slapping her. Bill decides to take Jean back to Colorado, leaving Barbara behind. The following night, Ivy tries to inform Violet of her plan to move to New York with little Charles, but Violet preempts her by revealing that little Charles is her half-brother. Horrified, Ivy leaves, devastated by her mother's knowledge of the relationship all along. Barbara soon discovers that Beverly had left a note indicating where he was staying, and that Violet could have reached him and potentially prevented his death. Realizing this, Barbara gathers her belongings and leaves the house, leaving Violet alone with her grief. In her anguish, Violet finds Jonna in the attic, breaking down in tears as Jonna offers her comfort. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.